What is up, everybody? It is JT with another episode of the Raidercast. Today, there's just going to be a kind of a shorter video, just going over the week's worth of news, and then talking a little bit about the game that's going to be happening tomorrow versus Miami. Now, I was planning on doing a game day live for tomorrow. Unfortunately, I can't do one with I have a family thing going on tomorrow. So unfortunately, there'll be no stream tomorrow. However, I'll do my preseason show stream on Sunday. And I'll talk about the game. I'll go over like what I thought, what I saw, go over possible cuts, stuff like that. Today, I'm just focusing on this week's updates and news. I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the game tomorrow. But to get started, let's get talking about how, the title of the video, how the boys are back. We're back in business. We have Darren Waller coming back, Anthony Averett, Rock Ya-Sin, Jonathan Hankins, and Bilal Nichols coming back. This is awesome. And Trayvon Mullen. How could I forget Trayvon Mullen? Oh my goodness, I didn't even put him in the thumbnail. I forgot about him. All those guys are huge. Because that's 3 of our starting CBs that were out for a while. We only had Nate Hobbs. We get to see what Trayvon looks like after a long while. We get to see what Bilal Nichols looks like, and we saw some flashes in camp from Bilal, especially. He looks very powerful, especially in the pass rush. Hankins looks just as run stuffy as ever. Darren Waller looked nice and crispy on some of the routes that the Raiders Twitter posted. Then he was out again yesterday. Which, I mean, I don't know what's happening with that, but I guess it's not a big concern right now. I'm just happy to see him back. Rock Ya-Sin being back, Anthony Averett being back. You have only some players left. It's Denzel Perryman, who I'm not worried about. A lot of these guys is not super worried. The only ones I'm worried about are Hollister and Furl. Furl's been out since, I think, the 4th of August, and Hollister's been out since the 9th. Hollister is someone who's not guaranteed a roster spot. Furl is the same thing, but he's a bit hard to get off just because of the cap hit that it will take if we don't keep him. And right now we're a bit thinner at the edge position, but I'll get to that later. But it was just great to see that everyone's off the PUP list. Even Dylan Stoner got off the PUP list. Trayvon Mullen being back will be huge, especially if he can play out to how he played in his rookie year. And also how he played in the games that he was actually healthy for. He still looked really good. I'm very excited to see him, Rock Ya-Sin, Anthony Averett, and Hobbs all playing dominant football come September. And then I'm excited to see what the defensive tackle room looks like now that our 2 top guys are back. And then Waller being back is, of course, always exciting because Waller's a beast. Moving on, I want to talk about the surprising trade and the guy we got back, and another person that left that I didn't put in the graphic. Gillespie got traded. He's the Titans for a conditional 7th, which is literally freaking nothing. So that was kind of a very shocking thing to come out. It's probably they weren't expecting to keep him on the roster. They maybe didn't see him getting past Teamer, who has looked like a beast on special teams, aka special teamer. You also have Daron Harmon on the team. You have Jonathan Abram, who should have a special role. You also have obviously Trayvon Moehrig, and then beyond them, you have some undrafted free agents that have been playing a bit up the level. They have some other players back there, so it was a deeper room in terms of depth, and I guess he just wasn't getting the play time they wanted. They weren't seeing what they wanted out of him, so they shipped him off to Tennessee for basically nothing. But something is better than nothing, especially if he wasn't going to end up making the roster. And as we can see, there's a clear pattern of this front office just not caring about where someone was drafted or if they were drafted recently or where they were drafted. They want their guys. It's very clear now that they are not afraid to trade anyone from the previous administration. So you can look at guys like Amik. You could look at guys, probably not Jacobs because he's really good. You could look at guys. I already said Amik. So there's a couple other guys that. Oh, Kenyon Drake. That was the big. That was the running back I was thinking of. That could be gone, and it could be shocking, or Cleveland Furl even, which might be like shocking to people, as they're just like, we don't care, we want them out now, we want to get our guys in. And one of the guys we got in was Janoris Jenkins. Not Janoris Jenkins. I keep calling him Janoris Jenkins because that's the only Jenkins I know. Jordan Jenkins. He was a very decent pass rusher. He's definitely a rotational guy. He's gotten quite a few sacks over the years. It was kind of a surprising cut from the Texans because he's not a bad guy, not a bad player. He's kind of he was on an off year last year with his PFF grade and stuff like that and stats overall. But as a depth piece to go along with Kuntz, maybe Furl and Tashawn Bauer, it should definitely be a more well-rounded defensive end room than previously. We also had Kenny Young get cut, which was another surprising cut, and we're still at 84 right now, so maybe we're signing someone else. Maybe Malcolm Brown, which I'm kind of hoping for. But Kenny Young was cut, which was very surprising, which is going to kind of lead me into my very next topic, and that is this undrafted free agent class is making waves, and just undrafted free agents in general. You have DJ Turner, who I believe was an undrafted free agent from a year or two ago. He's making waves. You have the two linebackers that are making a lot of splashes in camp. You have Darian Butler, who was one of my players to watch, and Luke Masterson, who was recently one of my players to watch because they've been playing up than what they were obviously thought of in the draft. Darian Butler looked good at Arizona, didn't get drafted. Luke Masterson out of Wake Forest. He looks like a very solid middle linebacker. I forget who was talking about it, but he's been getting the green dot in the preseason games, which is a lot to do for a rookie. But he's been handling it pretty well. I mean, his PFF grade, let's take a look at it. Where are they? Luke Masterson, he got a 56.3. That's not bad. That's not terrible. That's about an average, but for an undrafted free agent, that's pretty good, especially someone being thrown into the green dot, who's basically the quarterback of the defense. Darian Butler, he's a bit lower, 34.5. His tackling much, in my opinion, improved from my eye thing, but I guess it didn't. But I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll be a very solid coverage linebacker. He's not necessarily like one of those just run downhill, smash you in the face type of linebackers. He's very much better in coverage. But Luke Masterson showed flashes in coverage as well. He played decently. They both played decently. And that shows that they have a lot of trust in not only the starting three of Perryman, Diablo, and Brown, but they show a lot of confidence in these undrafted free agents to continue to grow and to come in when they need to and not be a liability. Not sure why we cut Kenny Young, though, still, because he's not a bad player. He's still talented, but it is what it is. I mean, I guess they know what they're doing. I trust Patrick Graham. I trust Ziegler to make the right decisions. I trust McDaniels to make the right decisions. But yeah, I think I'm very happy about this because I've been talking about how much I like them, especially Masterson recently and Darian Butler to start off the camp. So yeah, that's the undrafted free agents making waves. You also have Justin Hall, who's been kind of making plays. Quinterio Cole, haven't really heard much about him. He could make practice squad maybe as a safety. You have Bryce Cosby, who did not look good in the last game, so he's not someone that I don't think will stay. Cole Fotheringham, someone else who I don't think is going to stay, looked at tight end. Chase Garbers looks pretty decent at quarterback. Don't know if he'll actually stay just because you have Nick Mullins and Jarrett Stidham ahead of him, but he hasn't looked bad at all. He looked actually really good in the Jags game. He didn't get a lot of snaps in the final game. He didn't pass at all. He just handed it off to Britton Brown, who just did most of the work, but he hasn't looked bad. You also have, I talked about Justin Hall, Luke Masterson, I was just talking about Sincere McCormick, who's unfortunately on IR, who I was kind of hoping would be good, or like a developmental running back, but obviously on IR. McCallum Morrison, I don't think he's even on the team anymore. Bam has looked really decent. He's looked okay overall. Obviously, he hasn't been anything crazy, but he could be another one of those tackles that could be a very solid backup for us in the coming years, or even this year. Isaiah Pola Mayo, I haven't really heard much about him. I know TDL is a big high on them. Myron Tagovailoa Amosa has looked really good in the pass rush. Trey Turner we cut very quickly. Zach Von Valkenburg, he's looked really decently. He had a really good game against Minnesota recently. Sam Webb has looked like a stud at CB. I mean, this undrafted free agent class, I tweeted out, I said, this undrafted free agency class is already better than our 2020 2020 draft, like in terms of producing stars, you have Masterson and Darian Butler more than likely making the final 53. You have Sam Webb, who could make a surprise entrance to 53 or at least stay in the practice squad. Von Valkenburg and Tagovailoa Amosa have a good chance of being on the practice squad as well. I mean, you're getting a lot of, it seems like, future starters or like good practice squads or just deep depth from this undrafted free agency class, which is fantastic because we didn't have a lot of draft picks. So that's a big win for Ziegler. But moving on, talking about another late round, 7th round pick is Thayer Munford. And if he's the right future right tackle, I think he is. I think he could very much be that future. He had a win against Max Crosby in drills. He's just this big guy. He was a starter versus Minnesota, which everyone was somewhat surprised by. They're like, whoa, Thayer Munford's getting a start over Alex Leatherwood, over Jermaine Illuminor, who was on the left side. But he got a start, and he looked really good. 68.8 PFF grade. But even through the eye test, you're like, oh, he's pretty decent. The run game suffered a lot, but his pass pro, in my opinion, made up for it. So I'm going to think it's going to come down to what McDaniels and Ziegler value more, whether they value run blocking or pass blocking at the moment. And right now, I think it's going to be run blocking. Alex Leatherwood's definitely a better run blocking right tackle than Thayer at this point. But I'm definitely excited to see what Thayer can do as he continues to develop. Definitely making the practice squad at minimum. I think he's honestly going to make the final 53 as a backup at this point. I'm just have that much confidence in him going forward. He was a beast at right tackle or at tackle at OSU, Ohio State, before he moved to guard, which tanked his draft placement. But in going into 2021, the 2021 draft, he was seen as like a 3rd round high draft pick for a tackle, but he decided to wait another year before going to the 2022 draft, and that tanked his draft. However, because of his play at right guard was not good at all, but he was a beast at right tackle, and I think we're going to see that coming into this season, is that he could develop into the starting right tackle if Leatherwood doesn't work out or we have some sort of injury on the line. Obviously, I don't want injuries, but seeing him come in and possibly being really, really good would be awesome to see, and I could definitely see it happening. But yeah, that's all the news going into this week. My players to watch for tomorrow's game is definitely, obviously, Darian Butler, Luke Masterson. Watch out for those guys. They had a good amount of snaps last game, so you'll see them a lot. Thayer Munford is going to get the start again, I'm pretty sure. Definitely see what he can do in his second game as a starter. And other than that, I don't really have anything crazy in terms of players to watch. Right now, it's very hard to see who's going to get cut. Just keep an eye on who plays badly. But as we know, it's kind of surprising with the cuts that they're making right now. So it's very hard to read what they're valuing right now. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Later tonight, I have my chill stream. Just going to chill out with you guys, chat, open these cards that are right next to me. Thank you all for the continued support, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. Peace out, Raider Nation.